Welcome to the Star Chamber. I'm Ryan Swayze, a retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel and the founder and president of the Walk the Talk Foundation, a nonprofit that advocates for and advises currently serving and former military service members going through the arduous journey of administrative processes and investigations in our government.
And I am Francescagraham, a retired Army Lieutenant Colonel and the Chief Operating Officer and Chief Advisor for the Walk the Talk Foundation. For all our returning guests, welcome back. And for our new listeners, thank you for tuning in. Before we begin this week's topic, please do not forget to hit that subscribe button, check out our Walk the Talk Foundation website, and hit that donate button if you think we're doing a good job. Also, check out our newsletter, the DoD Times Redacted, on all the socials, including LinkedIn, X, Instagram, and Facebook. Links in the description. All right, Star Chamber listeners, let's get started. Welcome back, Star Chamber listeners, to another great episode of The Star Chamber, mini episodes hosted by yours truly, Francescagraham. And this week, I am coming to you live from the great state of Washington State. And I came out here specifically to visit my mom for her 78th birthday, and that is today. We do pre-recordings on these shows, but in case you're wondering, her birthday is August 3rd. And she will be 78 years old. Isn't that awesome? I think it's pretty awesome. I hope I make it to 78 years old. That'd be pretty cool. But yes, and her name is Mary. So if you're listening to this and you wish to wish Mary a happy birthday, you should do that because she would love it and she would probably know you're doing it. So she would love it. So this week for the episode, what do we want to talk about? I would like to talk about sharks, paintball, and the offense. Pretty catchy, right? So, sharks. Why do I care about sharks? You love sharks. I love sharks. We all love sharks. And by love, I mean we love them from a big distance. We don't want them anywhere near where we're swimming. I remember when I was in, I think, late middle high school age was the first time that National Geographic came out with the Shark Week episodes. And that was pretty terrifying. I was on the swim team at the time. And I absolutely, as did several other people that I know, unashamedly or unabashedly look into the pool every time before we went in just to make sure in our swimming pools in the middle of the city that there were no sharks. We loved them. We loved it. We love to be terrified of them. They are, in case you don't already know this, they are actually prehistoric creatures, meaning that they have been around for roughly 400 million years. They predate the dinosaurs, and unlike the dinosaurs, they never went extinct. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk about sharks on this episode, and in relation to the work that we do with Walk the Talk Foundation, is that sharks, we'll say specifically great whites. There are some exceptions to what I'm about to say, but we'll say specifically the apex predator of the shark world, which is the great white shark. If they stop moving, they die. And it's because of breathing. The way that their body is designed, they have this thing called RAM ventilation, RAM ventilation, which the way that it's designed, if they stop moving, they actually suffocate to death. And we see that at Walk the Talk Foundation a lot. We see service members and federal employees who, expanding on the analogy of a shark, they stop moving. They stop going on the offense. Maybe they never even get on the offense in the first place. And they stop moving. They wait for everyone to come to them. And by that I mean they say to themselves, I am going to wait until the command gives me the outcome or makes a decision on the NJP or on the captain's mast or on this administrative punishment. I am going to wait to see what they do before I go on the counterattack or before I go on the attack. That is the type of mindset that in the shark world, in the great white shark world specifically, would lead to the total extinction of the great white shark, because that is essentially a defensive mindset, talking military terms, specifically a defensive mindset that is saying, you know what, I'm going to wait behind this wall for the enemy to come to me. And if I do that, I'll be safe. And I learned as a young child, it was 10 or 11 maybe, I was playing paintball with my brothers. And I was first time playing paintball. And of course, I did not want to get hit because I'd never been hit before, but I had a pretty good idea I'd probably hurt. And I didn't want to get hurt. And so I had this idea, well, if I hide behind this wall and just wait for my brothers to go by, then I'll survive and they'll die. Well, what happened, for those of you who probably played paintball before, what happened is I hid behind the wall. My heart rate was just incredible. I was terrified because I wasn't moving. I wasn't actioning anything. I was just still. And my brothers outflanked me rather rapidly, unfortunately. And I very quickly had numerous paintballs shot into my back, probably my head because it's my brothers, and I died very quickly. And that was my first lesson in this idea that we hear our Prussian friend Clausewitz say, that the best defense is a good offense. And back to our sharks is to be a shark. Do not stop. If you stop moving, if you stop going forward, you will die. So let's just give you a hypothetical example of what I mean by this in the context of the Department of Defense or the Coast Guard, the military services and federal employees. What I mean by this is, let's say, hypothetically, you have done something wrong, hypothetically, and you know that you're going to get punished, but you believe, you're concerned that somewhere along the way, the command did a half poor investigation, we'll say, or that the command, and by that I mean they did not interview the people you thought they should have interviewed. They did not include witness statements that you knew would be valuable. They did not include documentation that you provided to them that you knew would be valuable. Or they maybe did not even do an investigation at all, but decided to remove you from command or to give you a letter of reprimand or a GOMAR or a letter of censure, whatever it is. And you know that, and this is just hypothetical, this is one of the more extreme types of cases, you know you did something wrong, and you know the command knows that you did that thing wrong. The common thing that we see people do is they say, I am going to wait, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, I'm going to wait to see what the command does before I highlight to anybody any of these issues. Basically a breach of trust of the power that the command is given. It's a breach of trust. I'm going to wait till the command makes a decision about what I've done wrong before I highlight to anybody the breach of trust that the command has made by doing all these due process failures, investigatory failures, whatever it is. You're going to die. And by that I mean you're going to suffocate. Think about this. If the command has already proven to you and has already shown to you, and we see this 10 times out of 10 at the foundation, with admittedly a bit of confirmation bias because of the work that we do, 10 times out of 10, if the command has already broken your trust, and by broken your trust, what I mean is by broken both your trust individually and also broken organizational trust, the breach of trust, by abusing their power or abusing their authority through taking shortcuts or through not following the due process, not doing all the things they're going to do. Why do you think that when it comes to the decision that they need to make about you, that all of a sudden they're going to have clean hands and they're going to punish you in a way that is fair and just? And here's the thing, even if they do punish you in a way that's actually fair and actually just, you are going to be embittered and angry because you know that they did all these things wrong along the way, to punish you in whatever way possible, right? Whatever the way is. What you should be doing, instead of being that essentially thing that the shark eats, or being me, hiding behind the wall at the paintball facility as a 10-year-old, what you should be doing is you should be going on the attack, and you should be going on the offense, and you should say, hey, you know what? I know I did something wrong. And again, this is a hypothetical, or maybe you didn't do anything wrong and you're being punished regardless. But either way, I know I did something wrong. Continue on with this hypothetical. But I also know that you're the one who has power and you're doing all these things wrong. And I'm going to go on the offense because the best defense is a good offense. I'm in the defense because I did something wrong, but I should be going on the offense so that I can highlight, I can create essentially a counter narrative, or maybe not even a counter narrative, but a different narrative, a new narrative that, hey, you know what? My hands aren't clean. I got that. I acknowledge that. I did something wrong. But you know what, Command? Your hands aren't clean either. And so we need to make sure that that's clear. Your hands aren't clean. My hands aren't clean. And you need to, I'm putting you on alert, Command, that I'm on the offense. And I need you to understand that you're violating the trust of the organization. You're violating my trust. And if you don't stop, I am going to continue to highlight, to shine a light on the things that you're doing wrong. That is being on the offense. And that gives you what we have seen time and time again. I think we have 43 open cases with the foundation. That's primarily uniformed service members. And we've advised 452 people, service members primarily, and some federal civilians, since the foundation's founding in January of 2022. And in every single instance, if the service member, the federal civilian, goes on the offense, creates that different narrative, stays moving, keeps going forward, doesn't sit behind the wall and wait for your brothers, by brothers I mean the command, to outflank you and shoot you in the back. If you go on the offense and you move and you attack and you say, hey, Command, again, I know I did something wrong, but look what you're doing. You're not clean. Shine a light. Every single time a person does that, service member, federal civilian, the outcome of whatever is happening that has caused them to reach out to our foundation is always better. It's never, or rarely, exactly what they hoped for, but it is always better than the path that they were going down before they went on the offense. And one of the big reasons, this goes back to the shark, the suffocation, right? One of the big reasons that I would argue that it's better, the outcome is always better, or I should say one of the big outcomes that's always better, is that like sharks, and like really every creature, we like to have agency. We like to have a sense of control or a sense of understanding about what is happening in our lives and what's happening around us. When you're sitting behind a wall and just waiting for the enemy to go by, you have no understanding and no visibility of anything that is happening around you. And you're also not changing the environment. You're not influencing the environment in any way because you're just sitting behind a wall. That's it. If you're moving, if you're going forward, if you're flanking, if you're attacking, not only can you see more terrain, you also are influencing the environment in a way that you could never have done so. So what I mean by all of that is you are regaining your agency. You are regaining some control of something in your life and in the environment in which you're living. And by doing that, your mental health improves, your emotional health improves, your physical health improves, and therefore your overall life improves. Even if, as I said, even if the command still shoots you in the back, you know that you did every single thing that you could have possibly done within the system of the Department of Defense and the Coast Guard. You know that you have done every single thing that you could have possibly done to not suffocate to death by stopping moving. Go forward. Keep moving. Don't die. Be a shark.
Well, that's it for this week's topic. We really appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and check out our foundation website at walkthetalkfoundation.org.
And feel free to reach out and give us feedback. You can get a hold of us via Facebook, X, Instagram, LinkedIn, and our foundation's website. Details in the description section. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next episode.